morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning. Yes, indeed, it is. You know why? Because I choose it to be so. The same way that you can choose any moment in your life to be whatever you want it to be. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is that every moment in your life, everything that happens, what's been done, what's been said, all of it is fundamentally meaningless. It just is. Write this in your notes. Again, everything just is. See, nothing is good or bad. It's our thinking that makes it so. Our reality is not determined by the facts, by what's happening by this moment. It's determined by the meanings that we give those moments, those things, what's happened. And the most beautiful part about that is, again, we get to choose that. Write this in your notes again. I always have a choice. And you do. You always have a choice. And again, what is that choice? The choice to choose your thoughts, to give meaning to things, to accept, to reject ideas. Did you know that that power you have, that ability, which is called agency to act or be acted upon, is your greatest power? And that through the use of it, you can lead yourself to feel certain things. And that's important because feeling is the secret, as Neville Goddard shares. Feeling is vibration. That's frequency. And that frequency is the attractive force in your life. And you have this ability to get on whatever frequency you want, which then attracts everything that's in harmony with that. Now think about that for wealth, for prosperity, for success, for happiness, for joy. You can attract all of that into your life, different lifestyle, to travel more, to live in a different house, to get a different car, different friends, all starting by shifting how you're thinking. Remember what Robert Collier shares. He says, every condition, every experience of life is a result of our mental attitude. We can be only who we think we can be. We can do only what we think we could do, and we can have only what we think we can have. Who we are, what we do, what we have, all depend on how we think. We can never express anything that we do not first have in our mind. The secret of all power, all success, all riches is in first thinking powerful thoughts, successful thoughts, thoughts of wealth and supply. We must build them in our own mind first. See, that's what you must do to deliver the outcomes you seek. You want this, what you've written down on your goal card, to become a material fact? Build it in your mind. Hold it on the screen of your mind. Be loyal to this unseen reality. Go within. Not out there, inside. As within, so without. Write that in your notes. Type that in the comments. As within, so without. Change the within, the without will change. And that's what we've been diving into in these calls. We've been studying some incredible, beautiful information from many amazing authors. The one right now is from Charles Haanel, the Master Key System. If you don't have a copy of this, get a copy of it. If you want to read along with us word for word, then get this copy. But most importantly, yes, do read it. Yes, go ahead and memorize it, study it. But the most important thing is to use it. Always remember that studying is not implementing. Reading is not implementing. Memorizing is not implementing. Implementing is application in your life practically. And that's what will deliver the change that you seek. Now, before we go further, we have a beautiful reminder for you. We have a special pop-up call happening today. Today is 8/8. It's the Lionsgate portal. And we have a special, beautiful call happening at 10:11 a.m. PST. And we invite you to come along with us so that we can dive into this wonderful, beautiful energy. And then also invite friends if you feel compelled to do so. And get ready to take some notes because it's going to be amazing. You'll receive some email notifications to remind you of it. And again, it's going to be really awesome. All right, so you ready? Let's dive into the master key system. Let's use this information. So here we go. Now here, the page that we're on is 321, and we touched on this in the last session. The substance from which all things are created is infinite in quantity. Now, I instructed you to underline that. The substance, that's the thinking substance that permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. That's what Wallace Wattles says, which is a really great book that comes from, called The Science of Getting Rich. Now, with that, it's important to, again, understand that it's infinite in quantity. There is no limit to it. Remember, the only limitations that you have are the limitations that you agree with. And you don't have to agree with those limitations. But why do we continue to move forward with that limitation? There's where habit comes into play and belief. It's because of the wascally paradigm. So again, the substance from which all things are created is infinite in quantity. We know that light travels at the rate of 186,000 miles per second. And we know that there are stars so remote that it takes light 2,000 years to reach us. And we know that such stars exist in all parts of heaven. And we know too that this light comes in waves. So that if the ether on which these waves travel is not continuous, the light would fail to reach us. Now think about that. If the waves weren't happening there, and if there was something in the way of that, it wouldn't get to us. Now, why is this important? Well, we can only come to the conclusion that this substance or ether or raw material is universally present. Now think about that. It's omnipresent. See, this tells us that this raw material, this thinking substance, is present everywhere without any gaps. Now sit in that for a moment. Without any gaps. It's always there. Now, how then does it manifest in form? How does it take shape? In electrical science, the battery is formed by connecting the opposite poles of zinc and copper, which causes a current to flow from one to the other and so provides energy. The same process is repeated in respect to every polarity. Now, that's important, every polarity. Remember what Bob talked about. We live on 3 planes of understanding simultaneously, from the spiritual to the intellectual to the physical. Spiritual, physical, polar opposites. It always goes from the thoughts to the ideas to the things. The things are the results, the outcomes. The thoughts are the causes. Together, they make the whole. So again, this process is repeated in respect to every polarity. And as all form simply depends upon the rate of vibration, the frequency, and consequently relations of atoms to each other, if we wish to change the form of manifestation, we must change the polarity. This is the principle of causation. So again, grasp what he's saying. He's saying the secret, which is not a secret, to the change you seek is to deal with the law, deal with the flow, and shift the vibration, which is feeling. If you want to change the form, you must change the polarity. See, and this is where most people get jacked up because they don't change the polarity. They think from the downside up. You got to think from the upside down. See, that's shifting the polarity. And that's the principle of causation. You know what I'm talking about? We see it constantly. Maybe you've fallen into this trap where you're emotionally involved with the results, what's happening, and that's all you're focusing on to the point of where that's where you're focusing from. Now, as you reflect on doing that, isn't it interesting how when you do look at things that way, and that's what your attention is all about, that's the thought you have, which then leads to ideas which are very similar to it, which leads to more of the same feeling. Oh my gosh, now it's more of the same action. And it's this whole cycle of what? More of the sameness. Is more of the same what you want? No, it's not. That's why you're here. You want change. So what he's saying is flip it, flip the polarity. No, go to the source, go to the cause, start with the thoughts. Then, and with that, the way you do that is in the intellect, which is where your higher mental faculties are, your imagination, perception, reason, will, memory, intuition. When you use those higher mental faculties, you can lead yourself onto a frequency, a vibratory state, which then will change the outcome in direct connection to whatever that vibratory state is. Again, this is the principle of causation. This is how everything is delivered. Bob Proctor said that frequently. Everything's delivered the same. It's true. It always starts as a thought. An image is created. If the image is held, if there is loyalty to that unseen reality, it leads to the result. 100% of the time, also. Think about that. See, you can do that for this. Whatever you've written down here. Think about that. You could turn your annual income into your monthly income simply by falling in love with the idea. Simply by thinking from it, not thinking of it. Thinking from it. Why? How can we prove that? Again, just look in the room you're in right now. That's exactly how those things were made. Started with an image, followed with loyalty to that unseen reality. There's not a single thing in the room that you're in right now that was made hadn't it been for somebody who imagined it first and then was loyal to it. There are lots of things that aren't made that don't ever see the physical part because of that lack of loyalty to the idea. Most ideas are stillborn. See, that doesn't have to be you. Now, before we go further with this, if you're watching this live stream and you're connecting with it and feeling that this could be something that can help you tremendously, then I highly recommend that you go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind. That's what this is, Master Your Mind. And then join us. And so you can watch these recordings in full and watch the replays as well. You'll thank yourself later.